Could DC's Catwoman be autistic? Stay tuned. Today, we're going to do something a little different from our usual Sci vs. Sci programming. Yesterday, I rewatched Tim Burton's 1992 hit, Batman Returns. I've noticed something that I hadn't seen before. So today, I'm going to share why I think Catwoman might be autistic. First, some disclaimers while you're hitting the like button and subscribing. We've discussed the dangers of amateur diagnosis in our video on self-diagnosis and the DSM-5. This is all meant to be in fun, and the goal isn't to clinically diagnose anyone. Nor is this going to be a comprehensive overview of autism. Rather, it's to break away from some of the stereotypes and show you some different ways that autism and other types of neurodiversity can manifest. Here on Sci vs. Sci, we have a special interest in neurodiversity. My partner and I have both been impacted by neurodiversity issues and feel it's incredibly important to bring more awareness on this special topic. Don't worry, we'll be back to our regular Sci vs. Sci content tomorrow. Second, I'm only going to talk about Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman in Batman Returns. There are many other versions of Catwoman between the comics, movies, TV. Frankly, Catwoman is just an incredible hero, incredible character, but there's not time today to cover them all. So let's talk about autism. Autism awareness is something that we're passionate about at Sci vs. Sci. While lots of people have heard of autism, most people don't have a solid handle on what it looks like in real life, or the true diversity of symptoms that are on the spectrum. Usually, TV shows and movies that depict autistic characters are highly stereotyped, like Rain Man or Sheldon Cooper. However, autism is a spectrum that is expressed differently in different people. In fact, there may be some people out there who don't even realize that they're autistic until adulthood. Some never do. Actor Anthony Hopkins was diagnosed in his 70s. People don't look autistic, and there's no single easy way to diagnose it. It takes trained clinicians and some elaborate testing procedures to get an official diagnosis. There's a lot we don't know about autism, but we do know it's a developmental condition that persists throughout life, and we can identify it based on some common characteristics. According to the DSM-5, autism involves two broad categories. The first category is persistent deficits in social communication and social interaction across multiple contexts. They list things like trouble with social interactions, poor nonverbal skills, eye contact, gestures, and things like that, and trouble developing and maintaining relationships. The second category is restricted or repetitive patterns of behavior, interests, or activities, as indicated by at least two of the following: repetitive motor movements or speech, insistence on sameness, inflexibility with routines, distress at small changes, highly restricted or fixated interests, and then hyper or hypo, that's more or less reactive to sensory input than other individuals. Note that the criteria don't say anything at all about intelligence. Autism is further characterized by level of support needs, with level 1 being low support, and level 3 being high support, and level 2, obviously, being somewhere in the middle. Level 1 individuals often live on their own and can lead highly successful lives, though they may be quirky or have trouble maintaining lasting friendships. Most who make it into adulthood without a diagnosis have done so by studying and learning from neurotypical people so that they can imitate them and hide their autistic symptoms. This is something called masking, and it's one of the issues that makes adult diagnosis of autism spectrum very difficult. Okay, now what about Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman? When we first meet Selina, she's bringing coffee into a meeting between her new boss, Max Schreck, and the mayor. She's extremely awkward and apparently unable to read the room. She annoys Max by interrupting and pouring coffee between them while they're trying to talk. She announces to everyone's surprise that she's got her own suggestion about what they should do. And after the encounter, she's hard on herself for getting it wrong and mocks her own mistake. At times, we see her struggling to make appropriate eye contact. So clearly she has some issues with social communication, especially picking up on the nonverbal and contextual cues Max was giving her. Now, she's so distracted by all of this that she forgets to give him his written speech that he's about to go give in front of all of Gotham City. That leads to some craziness that ensues. During the speech, the Penguin attacks, Batman shows up, Selina gets kidnapped and saved by Batman. But funny enough, even Batman finds her awkward. Later, we see her go home to her apartment. Now, we see her come home to her apartment twice in the movie, and both times we see her come home, she makes the same joke out loud. Honey, I'm home. Oh, I forgot, I'm not married. Now, this is kind of odd, and it makes you wonder, does she say this every time? Now, the first thing you notice when you see the apartment is that everything is the same color. If it's pink, she owns it. If she has one, it's pink. So here we start to see the insistence on sameness. She's decided she likes pink, so pink is where she lives, literally. Her answering machine has a breakup message from a man she was dating, along with a phone message from her mother and one from herself. This is our only real glimpse into her social life, and it suggests that there's no evidence that she has any lasting friendships or strong relationships. And of course, we're also introduced to her fixated interest, cats. Apparently, they're allowed to come in whenever the heck they want, and they are flipping everywhere. I mean, everywhere. Going back to our criteria, we're checking some serious boxes here. Trouble with social interactions? Check. Poor nonverbal skills and eye contact? Check. Trouble developing and maintaining relationships? Check. Repetitive motor movements or speech? Maybe. She did say the same thing a couple of times, but I think we need more data for that one. Insistence on sameness? Check. Highly restricted interest? Check. Hyper or hypo, more or less reactive to sensory input? I think we need more data for this one. But we've got 2 solid checks in this category, which is enough to meet the criterion. She has to go back to the office because she forgot something. She's obviously very smart because she deduces her boss's password. But this leads her to some information that she probably shouldn't have, and Max tosses her out of a window for it. When she wakes up on the ground, she goes home. At this point, she becomes overwhelmed by the events of the evening and begins having a meltdown. Now, this is a common occurrence among high-functioning autistic individuals, where they may lash out, become enraged, or engage in self-destructive or destructive behaviors, or maybe they just shut down entirely. It's what happens when you get overwhelmed. Remember that hyperreactivity to sensory input? It's at this point that she wrecks her apartment and then decides to get all artsy and craftsy and make the Catwoman suit. Finally, after she has experienced this transformation where she literally puts on a mask, she becomes a different person, able to take on a charm and wit that is capable of making Bruce Wayne fall for her, all while masterminding a plan to get her revenge on Max. I think Catwoman is an awesome character. Say what you will, but Selina Kyle is smart and she's a successful individual despite the challenges she faces. She's just trying to fit into a world that thinks differently from her. A world that won't accept her as she is, so she must become someone else. So what do you think? Is Catwoman autistic? Are there other Batman characters that might check some of these boxes? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to see more videos from Psy vs. Psy promoting neurodiversity like this one, let us know about that too. If you resonate with Selina's struggle, I encourage you to learn more about autism, and I'll leave some links in the video description. While you're there, hit the like button. And until next time, keep thinking. I bet Selina Kyle would be smart enough to know what fair use means. We'll see if Warner Brothers does.